Hello, BookTube. I have yet another book repair I want to do for you. This one is By Land and Sea. It's the Essays and Occasional Addresses by Samuel Eliot Morison. And it's in pretty rough shape, so we're going to fix it right now. And as you've seen on these videos before, the first thing you do is take the dust jacket off, because you're not actually repairing the book. There's nothing I can do with repairing a book. But the dust jacket is the only thing that needs repairing. See, that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Spine's intact. The borders are all fine. It's the dust jacket that's the problem here. So you want to lay the dust jacket down flat so that you can see the damage without being distracted by the cover art. See how much damage you have and what you can do about it. So we've got gaps in the cover, and we're going to use these things, just stickers. I use the priority mail stickers that the post office gives away free, but of course any sticker will work. We're going to use these. We're going to put them where the gaps are and shore them up that way, right along the line of the book. You can make that out. See, now there's a gap. Those gaps are filled now. They're not just hanging in the air. We're going to do that along the whole book, everywhere that it needs it. Which in this case is a lot of places. But then again, that's understandable. This book was made in 1954. That's a long time ago. Who knows what its story is, where it's been, how many attics it's lived in, how many book sales it's gone through. I, of course, found it at the Brattle Bookshop. There are bargain carts outside, and the bargain carts outside of the Brattle are wonderful, but they have a horrible element to them, something that I try not to think about, which is that at the back of the lot where the bargain carts are, the carts are arranged $5, $3, and $1 books, and behind the $5 books are out front, then the $3 books, then the $1 books towards the back of the lot, and at the very back of the lot, behind the $1 books, there's a dumpster. and it's there for a reason. It's not decorative. It's there because the books that don't sell go into the dumpster, and then they get thrown away. And it's horrifying. Sometimes, occasionally, one of the only things about the Brattle that I don't like, occasionally I am there when the books are getting thrown into the dumpster. And, you know, it doesn't make any sense, because I have looked over those books before. There's nothing getting thrown into the dumpster that I would have wanted. But even so, just the sight of books getting thrown away, it's not easy for a bookworm to look at. So, you know, when a book is a dollar book at the Brattle, the one thing you know about it is that it's on the last stage of its journey. If it doesn't find a loving home, then it's not going to find a loving home. It's not going to go anywhere else. There's no charity shop after that. But this thing has been around for a very long time, so it's understandable to have some wear and tear. This is old cardstock paper. It's not even laminated. It's from a time when no one would have thought to do that. So now that we've shored up the cover has some structural integrity to it. Now we're going to take clear plastic tape and shore up the dust jacket itself. Because this is a book that I was so happy to find it. I knew that it existed. I don't think I've ever owned a copy, but I was so happy to find it because Samuel Eliot Morison was one of the 2 or 3 greatest historians, American historians of the 20th century. Him and Bruce Catton and a handful of others. And he was given an opportunity that most historians would only dream of. He was the powers that be understood that World War II was going to be a conflict for the history books, quite literally. It was going to be something unprecedented and incredible in the course of human history. And they wanted a historian along for the ride. So they made Samuel Eliot Morison, they gave him a fake commission and took him on board battleships with the American Navy. so that he could write. He wrote a multi-volume history of the naval operations, U.S. naval operations in World War II, and he did it. He was there. He talked to the men involved. Had ships sunk out from underneath him, and eventually retired as an admiral. And his account of the U.S. naval operations of World War II is unsurpassed. It's incredible. It's a little bit much to ask an ordinary reader to read a multi-volume account, and he knew that, so he condensed it to a one-volume book called The Two Ocean War, which is amazing. It's still the greatest book on the naval side of World War II from the U.S. perspective. But he also wrote a bunch of other things. He was an indefatigable writer. Loved writing. He wrote many biographies, but he wrote a great biography of Christopher Columbus, who we're not allowed to like anymore, called Admiral of the Ocean Sea, that has the great strength over all the other Columbus biographies of being nautically literate, which Columbus was to the nth degree. His story of finding the New World is so familiar to us that we tend to forget how absolutely astonishing it was that he could do it at all, that he was that good a navigator, that good a seaman. But Morrison also wrote a bunch of other things. He was prolific throughout his life, and in addition to writing books, he also was often invited to speak. This famous and famously crusty historian. So and that's what this book is. This book is a collection of his addresses and speeches and essays. Some book reviews, mostly public comments. You just get invited to speak and just have a subject that had been on his mind, and you shape it and give it as a talk. And this collects them all so that they aren't lost. And they're wonderful. He was I am a little bit biased here because at the end of his life he was a friend of mine, but he was also a great historian, compassionate, and of sound judgment when it came to assessing sources, and most of all, a beautiful stylist, a prose stylist. Historians tend not to do that anymore. Unfortunately. But once upon a time, it was a mark of distinction if you were a historian, that you were also a great writer. And he was. And that makes this book a thing to have, in addition to all of his more formal histories. And there we have, our cover is now salvaged, and we take the book, put it back into the spine like that, and wrap the cover around it. It's a weird feeling that some of you who have been here. Boston has a mall that goes up one length of one of the prettier streets in the city, and the middle, the median of the mall is full of statues of the great and worthy people. And it's always weird to walk down there and walk past the statue of someone that I knew, someone that I drank with. That's very strange. But there you have it. There is By Land and by Sea, completely restored. Never need another bit of a renewal. And that's another tedious book review for you. Thank you, BookTube.